Hey folks, hope you're well. Today has been a really weird day of going between feeling like you're doing a really bad job as an adult and feeling like you're doing a really decent job as an adult. But it kind of started with a hangover from yesterday's drama with the whole fence falling down, going to the neighbours, talking to them about it. The response being, well, it's not our problem. Why should we pay for it? It's not our fence. And me spending all that time Sunday trying to prove them wrong, damn it. Claire and I spent all day yesterday and a lot of today negotiating, trying to convince each other that they should be the ones to go over there to talk to the neighbours and say, it is a shared fence, you do have to pay for it. And I went from being really confident it'll be fine, while Claire was absolutely petrified, to being absolutely convinced it was going to be terrible and they were going to just say, no, we're not doing it, we're not interested, go away. I'd convinced myself that we were going to be all out at war. I actually, I rang Claire on the way home and Ollie answered and I was trying to get her to put Claire on the phone and he was too busy asking me silly questions and telling me about his game or whatever, and I was like, okay, no, I'm trying to be really nice and kind and listen, but equally going, no, I need to speak to your mum. And I said, I'll be home about 22. Why don't you nip over next door and have a chat with them before I get there, so that when I come home, it's all done and dusted. And she's like, I'm not going over there. I don't know what to say. And I was like, please. I was like, I'll cook dinner for you, whatever you want. Just let me get off the hook with this one. I don't think I can handle it. And she was just like, I'm not going over there. I've got too much to do with work. We'll sort it out. Maybe they'll come to us and all of this. So because she mentioned she had a lot of work to do and she didn't sound too impressed, I was like, right, I'll get out of your way, I'll let you get on with your work, I'll see you when I get home. So I spent the next 15 minutes driving to pick up Emily and Ben from nursery, just stewing in the fact that it was probably going to be me that had to do it. I was so convinced it was going to have to be me, and because I was listening to angrier music than perhaps I realised at the time, I think I'd wound myself up. I felt quite rough, and I was thinking they're just going to start having a go at me, we're going to end up with one of these families at war. And by the time I'd got out of the car, I think I pulled up at nursery and I just thought, this guy is just going to end up becoming a thorn in my side, and it's just going to end up one thing after another. We're going to be, it's just going to elevate to the point where one of us is going to have to move. And I was just convinced it was all going to go wrong. And then as I was walking down the driveway towards nursery, Claire rang and was like, I did it. I went next door. I asked him if he'd had a chance to read it yet. He said he'd had a look, but it was a mess. He didn't really understand it. I told him the line you told me about where it says it's a party fence. He said, all right, fair enough. And he said he'd pay. Claire actually updated me as well that this is the most honest thing I've ever heard, right? So the guy next door is going to pay, that's all sorted. I was very, very relieved. I felt instantly, again, like another bubble had popped. That was sorted, no problem, excellent. I was really pleased with her. I said, right, what do you want me to cook you in the week? She was like, I don't know, we'll figure that out. And then she said to me, so I'm thinking, she goes, but I also had an update from the fence man. I'm like, right, okay. She said, he quoted 180 quid, but actually it was easier than he thought. So he's lowered the quote to whatever it is. It works out that it's 65 each, so that'd be 130, and then I guess still 30 next door, so 160 all in. So she was saying, so next door only have to pay us 65 quid, and we're getting that from them, not the full amount that we originally thought we needed. It's less than that, it's about 60 quid, I mean. So I was like, cracking, that's good, we get 60 quid, yes. And before I'd even finished talking, I thought, but for how long? And she said, well, funny you should say that. She was like, and I thought, I know where this is going, you don't even need to say. And she said, the washing machine's broken, so she had to take a load of towels. It still works, but she can't wash towels in it. I got to take them to my mum's to wash them. And she said, and while she was over there, she was chatting to her mum, and her mum said, she knows somebody who repaired their washing machine when the same thing happened. And I'm like, don't even tell me how much it is. I know how much it is. You don't need to tell. And they said they'll do it for 60 quid. And I was just like, ah! And I just said to her, the curse continues. I'm at the door for the nursery now. Just sort it out. I'll see you later. So I got Emily and Ben, sorted them all out. Walked down all nicely. Ben had made us loads of lovely, cute Valentine's Day stuff, which was lovely. Felt a little bit, that felt like, okay, there's so much messiness going on, but we're all right, we've fixed that problem. We're a bit of a drama queen about the neighbours, but it all worked out. Neighbours probably think we're a nightmare, but it's fine. Get in the car, I'm halfway home, and I'd actually stopped to take a Pokemon gym, and my phone kept going off, and I kept hanging up, because I was like, I'm trying to take a gym, and it was Claire, and I just thought, she probably just wants something from Co-op, or from Tesco's. I'll take the gym, and then I'll answer it. So I finally answer it after the third time of her ringing me, thinking, okay, maybe this is important. And she rang and she said, I forgot parents' evening. And I'm like, what do you mean you forgot parents' evening? She said, our slot with Emily's teacher was 15 minutes ago. And I was just like, oh, well, you're going to have to just tell them that you were working late and you couldn't make it. Because she was working. Like she said on the phone before, she had loads to do. And she was like, no, it's important because it's all about their progress towards SATs and all the faff. And I was like, but I've got Ben with me and didn't know it was happening. I'm not prepared. I want to just come home and eat and chill out. I'm exhausted. And she was like, I've told them you'll be there in 10 minutes. And I was just like, oh, she said she swapped slots with one of Emily's friends' mums. Because it was the mum that had messaged. The mum had messaged saying, are you running late? Can I have your slot? And you can have my slot. And then Claire was just like, what the hell are you talking about? So I drove to the school thinking we are the worst family ever. We're so unorganised. We'd both forgotten. It was in our calendar. We'd made notes. We just hadn't looked at it. I think we've been so preoccupied with the fence and just other nonsense and work that we just forgot. When I got there, the head was the one sat on the blooming reception on the way in. He wasn't actually there to count people in and out, but I was like, we're late, sorry. Like, just run through. Didn't need to tell him, but embarrassed myself by telling him and thinking, again, in his mind, we're the calamity family that just run round nuts and all this. So by this point, Claire's texted me. She's gutted. She's really disappointed that we forgot. I felt like a monster because there was no other parents there. I thought we were literally the last ones in. So I felt like a monster. So I'm reading through a book, I thought we only had minutes. I'm really frantically trying to read through all of the books to get a proper look through and see how they're going. And there's lots of stuff in there. It's really cool reading it, showing Ben all the pictures. He wanted to just run around the school and I'm like, no, you got to sit on my lap and look through these books. Emily was just off with her friend in the library, the one who'd rang us to say that we were late. They come out of their meeting and went off. And the teacher sort of said to Emily, do you want to come in with your dad and your brother? But she didn't hear. So I had to take Ben into the parents' evening on my own. And he didn't want to sit still. The teacher was kind of like talking to him lots, like, oh, you're really cute. You look just like Emily. Look just like Holly. You know, does he want to play with this? Does he want to play with that? He starts trying to eat everything he can possibly pick up. So I'm like, all right, I'll sit him there with these plush dogs while I talk to the teacher. And everything she's saying to me, I'm like, just trying to stop Ben from whatever nonsense he's doing. And she's like, it's all right. And she's chatting away to me about how Emily's grades were slightly below where they needed to be when she started at the summer, which they would be because it's the start of the year. And then they'd got up to where they needed to be in autumn. And there's a couple of bits they needed to tweak. And I'm just like nodding, going, oh my God, now he's turning on the computers. And I'm just nodding, and she's like, I sort of said, I'm really sorry, I'm not distracted, I'm listening, but I'm worried. So in the end, I got Emily in, and I thought suddenly I could just go tell her, come in here. She didn't hear the teacher before. So they're just going back and forth around the room, which the teacher said was fine. The room was safe. It was just loads of stuff for Ben to look through. So I just thought at this point that we look so ridiculously like calamitous and messy, and I tried to explain to her that Claire, what Claire does for a living, and she didn't care. She was just like, it's fine. I genuinely thought I'd kept her late. Turned out afterwards there was like 3 other parents in the queue behind us that were due. She said to me on the way in, you have a 20-minute slot now because I have no one after you until the next lot arrive. Let's just fill it. So I felt really bad. I just felt like we were absolutely rubbish. And then she got onto Emily's stuff, and basically, she was just saying Emily's awesome. I'm well chuffed. I'm well proud of her. I felt absolutely brilliant. She was said that her maths went from being a little bit ropey when they got back in summer to absolutely, she just jumped forward massively. She did a few after-school bits and pieces. She's been putting lots of effort in, and she just seems to have really turned it around. They said her grammar was, again, I kind of feel like they tested them the first week back, and everyone scored pretty low. Because their brains were obviously not tuned into being at school and all of this. Didn't remember. I know it's hard to judge because I know they didn't remember much, and that's part of the problem because you're supposed to remember things you learn, I guess. But equally, when you're not in the frame of mind for doing things and then you come in and you do a test, you're not going to be at your best. So I was kind of in two minds on it. I guess if you know it and you'll keep it forever. But if you don't know it, then you won't. And when they come back, they didn't know it. But the point is, she just jumped forward. She was telling me how, she was talking to me about her grammar, and I was like, so she needs to try better at her grammar. She was like showing me this thing, and I'm like, oh, okay, so she needs to get better at grammar. And then she finally got to the end of her story and was like, so she's 1 point off the top level in it. And I was just like, I said to her, I've been sat here listening to you talk, thinking you were about to tell me that she was in the bottom bit and she really, really, really needed to get up to standard and that this was a big project. You're telling me that if we put a bit of effort in around it, she's going to go into the top bit. And I was like, that's blown me away. I was like, well done. They said, reading's good, maths is good. If you follow me on Twitter, I've just tweeted a picture she drew. This isn't part of the SATs, but she drew this picture of a lady from behind with a bow in her hair. She's got some pictures upstairs where she's drawn a person from the front, from the side. She's following tutorials. But I always knew she was good at drawing and good, like, creative. But my God, is she good at drawing at the moment. Like, she's just been following these tutorials. We've got some pencils for Christmas. Santa brought them. She's got some decent colouring in pencils, stuff like that. And she's just doing this has been shading with black pencils. I sent it to my dad and he was just like, she really needs to keep this up. She's good at it. But I was talking to the teacher about that and she said, yeah, that's actually, from a teacher's point of view, that's one of her stronger subjects. And she was saying that that's what, whenever they're not doing the satsy stuff, they do art. And I was just like, Emily has really benefited from it. I was looking for a book and she'd drawn these ridiculously good, like, totem animals, and I can't remember the people that it was from. It was like a tribe of people that art style they used, and I was just blown away how good we only had a parents' evening before Christmas, probably October, November time, but she's done so much. I was just like, this is ridiculous. We talked about how much homework she's suddenly starting to do. I asked her if she wants to go upstairs and watch like Netflix with Ollie on a Friday night, and she goes, I'm just going to do my homework first, and she gets it all done. And I'm nervous now because she's got secondary school coming up in September, and I don't want her to go up, and then just be like, just, not try as hard. I want her to feel like she has to keep putting the effort in. When I was a teacher, all the year sevens would come in really, really hot at what they were doing and really good at it. Ended up kind of losing interest by year 9 and just turning into a bit of a nightmare. So I'm just slightly nervous that it's up to me to keep her on the straight and narrow, I guess, and Claire, obviously. But it's just nerve-wracking to not know what's going to happen. But yeah, I come out of that really relieved and pleased. It was all actually quite good. So I thought, okay, maybe we're not as bad parents as we thought we were. Maybe we are on top of things. And then just before I was doing the vlog, we'd been putting Ollie to bed, and then he remembered that someone had taken one of his Pokemon cards, and he was looking through them in his bag, and we're going through his bag, and there's like all these the invitation to his school play that we went to it, but we didn't know he had that. We found out about that via WhatsApp. About 6 Christmas cards that we didn't know were in there. Some random bits that he'd had in his bag for ages that he was supposed to give back to the school, and I was just like, we really need to be looking through this bag. Like, he's not even had this bag long. I'm pretty sure he got a new bag in like January. So he's moved stuff from before Christmas into his bag from his old bag. And we've just not looked through it. And I was just like, we need to get better. I feel like we've just been so preoccupied with everything going on. We've just lost the way with a bit. But forgetting parents' evening is like the worst. At least we didn't forget to pick any of the kids up. I've only ever done that once ever, and that wasn't properly forgetting. That was like I drove past Ben's nursery, got to the roundabout and thought, it's Tuesday. So just did a complete U-turn. It's probably like 200 yards, but I felt like a monster. But yeah, other than that, I mean, things have been pretty alright today. It's been a long day, but thinking about the SAT stuff, I can't really get my head around it. They're mad. They just sound difficult and intense. From what I understand, she's moving into a better like math set for trying to push her through that. The grammar bit she has to knock up a level. They're going to test the reading to get a proper idea of where she is. But they talked about this English one, and I don't really get it. Someone who's into English teaching perhaps, or well, primary school teaching, or knows about it, or whose kids have gone through it. She was saying that to get the right level, they need to be able to demonstrate everything they've learned in terms of like using full stops, commas, semicolons, colons, capital letters, the right kind of sentence structures and so forth. They have to demonstrate that across, well, she sort of said if it was one perfect piece of work that they'd managed to just do without any help in class, then she could evidence it all in that and show it to the head and he'd sign it off. But she says usually they end up with about 6 that demonstrate it. But she said they have to be generally perfect. And I was just like, what? She was like, it's a lot. She was saying to me, it's a lot harder than it was like a few years back, let alone when we were younger. But I just couldn't get my head around how any kid is really expected to be able to do this to a perfect standard by the definition of whatever they doing. It just seemed, I didn't know whether that was to get the highest level or whether that was to get the meeting requirements level. She made it sound like that was the meeting requirements one, but I don't really get it. I know that this isn't the end of the world because ultimately it's about the school and things like that. But it does have a mild impact in the start of school. Like they say, oh, this kid was achieving this, we expect them to be able to get to that by the end and all of that. I know that changes throughout the time as well, but I think it benefited me. When I went to secondary school, my SATs weren't amazing, but I went to a good school and a primary school, and they put me in quite, I think it's kind of alphabetized in the first year, but it meant I was in the top set. And then I managed to stay in that top set until the midway through year 8, and then I just kind of went poof, and found my actual level and stayed at pretty much consistent at that level for the whole time. But for those first bits, being treated like you were a kid up there with higher levels did make me try a bit harder. I think when I couldn't do it, I just gave up and faff. So maybe I'm worrying too much, but it's just interesting thinking. I'd like her to go in with the expectation that she's going to try hard because she's living up to it at the moment and she's doing really well. But yeah, I sort of said to her, "You're showing we're doing really well, but I think you're the one doing really good, and we're really proud of her." I'm just pleased. It's nice going to them because we had Ben's the other week, and they're saying he's on track with everything. It's all good. We'll have Ollie's at some point, and I feel like his has gone really well. So so far things have really improved. So yeah, hopefully we can stop being the Calamity family. We'll remember to do Oliver's one. We just need to get more organised. What annoys me is the app on iOS. I don't like the calendar app. I can't use it right. It doesn't work for me. I need a proper time management app of some kind. At the moment, I rely on setting alarms every single day. Or like I set it to go off every Friday if I've got one thing happening on the coming Friday, and then a week later it's still reminding me about it, and I have to delete the reminder. But if I could get a proper app going, I'd probably be all right, and especially if Claire and I could collaborate on it. But anyway, I'm waffling a bit now. I don't think there's anything else. I think we've got nothing to watch on telly tonight, so I'm just going to chill out, which I'm quite excited about. Pab started using Twitch. Go subscribe to Pab on Twitch because essentially, this is really... I want him to do well on it because I love Pab, been mates with him for years, want him to do well. But equally, I kind of want him to set a bar so that when I finally get the garage sorted and the shed sorted and all my stuff sorted, I'm going to come for Pab and I'm going to see how long it takes me to get ahead of him or catch up with him because I don't know, I don't want to talk too soon because he's an entertaining streamer. But yeah, I want Pab and Kev and Anna to be the bars to go at, and I want to catch up with them, damn it. So yeah, go follow Pab on Twitch. He was playing Red Dead Redemption earlier. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. Thank you for watching. Hope you're all well. Subscribe to my channel. Go and follow me on Twitter because I tweeted a picture of Emily's drawing. I was really impressed with it. Hopefully you are too. I really want to encourage her with that. And yeah, just see you tomorrow. Have a good evening. Cheers.